Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health and the Wellness Forum Institute for Health Studies. I'm wearing one of my favorite sweatshirts. It says, "I just want to nap with my cat." And when I wear it and I go out into grocery stores and that sort of thing, people always stop me and they say, "Where do you get it?" I bought it for $5 at Marshall's a few years ago, and I suppose I always loved napping with my cat. And if you're an animal lover and you have pets, you know what I mean. There's just nothing better than a purring cat or a fuzzy dog cuddled up with you, right? So with that, let's get into the news of the day. And I'll start with, I'm sure you've all heard, and I've gotten a lot of enthusiastic response from you. Our clinic is open in our office in Central Ohio. We opened to a very enthusiastic audience of people who want cash pay and privacy and no reporting and easy access and none of the nonsense and all the stuff tied up with conventional medicine. So we're excited about this. We're excited about doing more of it. If you are interested in becoming a patient, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. And if you are interested in having us do for you what we are doing with our practitioner here, send me an email. For the first 20 people who enroll in one of our programs during this particular time, some very, very special incentives and gifts will be offered. All right? So now let's get into some health news. And I want to talk about the impact of dietary fat in a couple of different ways. So first of all, it's been known for decades that there are serious consequences of consuming a high-fat diet. For example, decades of follow-up have shown that a ketogenic diet, which is by design a high-fat diet, actually does improve and in some cases even resolve seizures in children, but the negative consequences of eating this diet, even for a couple of years, last for the rest of their lives. There's an article posted in our members library on this topic if you want to read it. Insulin resistance leading to type 2 diabetes is another known consequence of high-fat eating. Even though in the beginning it may lower your fasting glucose levels, it turns on you later on. Articles on this topic are posted in the members library, and these, along with a very large body of evidence, are reasons why we've been advising for almost 30 years that a low-fat, high-fiber, plant-based carbohydrate diet is the pathway to health for most people. A new study sheds some light on the effect of even short-term excess fat intake on immune function. Mice were fed a diet with 60% of calories from fat and added cholesterol, which was also low in fiber for 3 days, and then switched to a regular mouse diet for another 3 days. And they cycled in and out of this pattern for 12 days total. A high-fat diet followed for only 3 days at a time resulted in negative changes in immune function in the adaptive immune system and mucosal T cells. When the experiment was conducted again after infecting the mice with a pathogenic strain of salmonella, mice eating what researchers called the feast diet had more bacteria in their intestines due to reduced immune response than mice eating the normal rodent diet. The researchers also reported that the feast diet contributed to reduced production of anti-inflammatory substances like acetate and butyrate in the gut. And the production of those types of substances depends on fiber, which is only found in plant food, not in animal food. The bottom line, better health is achieved for most people with a low-fat diet made up with mostly plant foods. So one thing I want to mention, this is annual membership drive time. If you've never been a member of Wellness Forum, we have several Wellness Forum tours and Q&As done virtually via Zoom scheduled for the next few weeks. And if you just join one of these and show up live, we give you a $100 gift card. So send me an email if you're interested in knowing more about what we do, free health Q&A with me, and you get a $100 gift card. All right, so it ends March 15th. Now's the time to do it, but happy to email you the dates and all those sorts of details, right? Now I want to talk about a very important issue which has to do with quality of research published in journals. And this particular segment is triggered by an email that I got from a subscriber. So she writes, quote, I'm in a new job as a wellness nurse. As soon as I arrived, I discovered my RN colleague was teaching people what seemed to be a cross between a keto diet and a carnivore diet. I joined Wellness Forum to find more research to show my manager so she could see it was not a good idea for this RN to tell people that cholesterol doesn't matter and that they should be eating butter, lard, and fat. I used some of your papers from the members library to show her, but unfortunately she responded that she thought the evidence was not relevant as it was American, not New Zealand, and had old references. So here is my response, and we'll start with the obvious. I'm assuming that people who live in New Zealand are human beings, just like humans who live in the United States. They have 2 arms, 2 legs, a mouth, and their internal organs look just like mine and yours. I'm assuming that in New Zealand, when somebody has a raging bacterial infection, antibiotics are prescribed if you get to the hospital in the middle of your myocardial infarction in New Zealand. Gosh, I hope they're doing bypass surgery there to save people's lives. So humans are humans regardless of where they live. And I'll just say now, I think anybody who makes a claim like this, it's asinine beyond comprehension. But I do want to address the other issue which comes up, and that is the age of references. Not the first time it's happened. And I'm sometimes made fun of and attacked by people who think that newer is better and that so-called good researchers and writers use only and cite only the latest research. This is not true, and I'm just going to give you a few reasons why now. According to a recent report, tens of thousands of sham research studies are being published in journals all over the world every year. In 2023, over 10,000 papers were retracted by research journals, the highest number of all time. Many scientists believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg. The number of flawed papers could be tens of thousands every year for the last several years. According to Professor Dorothy Bishop of Oxford University, in many fields it's becoming difficult to build up a cumulative approach to a subject because we lack a solid foundation of trustworthy findings, and it's getting worse and worse. Professor Alison Avenel of Aberdeen University agrees and says, quote, editors are not fulfilling their roles properly and peer reviewers are not doing their jobs, and some are being paid large sums of money. It's deeply worrying. The problem is that in many countries, academics are paid according to the number of papers they publish, not the quality of papers or the discoveries they've made, just volume. Professor Marcus Manafo of Bristol University writes, quote, if you have growing numbers of researchers who are being strongly incentivized to publish just for the sake of publishing, while we have a growing number of journals making money from publishing the resulting articles, you have a perfect storm. And this is exactly what we have right now. Malcolm McLeod of Edinburgh University warns about the danger posed by the rise of the paper mill and fraudulent research papers. He says, quote, if as a scientist I want to check the papers about a particular drug that might target cancers or stroke cases, it's very hard for me to avoid those that are fabricated. Scientific knowledge is being polluted by made-up material, and we're facing a crisis. The point was backed by Bishop. People are building careers on the back of this tidal wave of fraudulent science and could end up ruining scientific institutes. Corruption is creeping into the system. I don't think it's creeping in, I think it's galloping in. Prestigious institutions here in the United States are not immune to the problem. Boston-based Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, DFCI, an affiliate of Harvard Medical School, acknowledged on January 23rd that it was seeking retractions for 6 research papers and corrections for 31 others. The retractions and corrections resulted from claims made by Sholdo David, a British molecular biologist, who claimed that some of DFCI's top staff, including CEO Dr. Lori Glimpsher, and Chief Operating Officer Dr. William Hahn, had published papers that duplicated or manipulated data. He wrote, quote, a swath of research coming out of DFCI authored by the most senior researchers and managers appears to be hopelessly corrupt, with errors that are obvious from just a cursory reading of the scientific papers. In many cases, David found images in papers that were duplicated, stretched, obscured, or spliced together in a way that indicated purposeful attempts to mislead readers. He wrote, the level of data forgery is pathetically amateurish and excessive. Billions of dollars were burned for this cancerous trash science, but it made many academic careers. Some got very rich, and entire dynasties established themselves at Dana-Farber. The papers in question focused on immune cells and cancers like multiple myeloma. Some of the papers have been cited as many as 3,000 times. Many have been published in top journals like Cell and Nature. This is not a new problem, by the way. I have been telling people for 30 years that you have to be very cautious when you read the medical literature and interpret it. The drug companies and big ag have engaged in scientific misbehavior for decades, and journals are packed with study results that are barely statistically significant, let alone clinically meaningful. But things have never been this bad. If nothing changes, journals will be the equivalent of the National Enquirer in reporting medical information, although based on what we're seeing, I think that this might actually be an insulting comment to the National Enquirer. Thus, it is always better to look at and cite older studies on a topic if possible. One other thing I'll mention is that older journals, or older issues of journals, I should say, are packed with well-conducted studies that reveal important information that's often very much ignored. For example, it might interest you to know that studies on the devastating effect of extreme calorie restriction on humans were done in the 1940s in residential settings with controlled diets and under 24/7 supervision and observation. The results were catastrophic. There was rebound eating, rebound weight gain, gaining weight beyond that which was required to just reach normal weight again. Yet the extreme calorie restricted diet is still alive and well and being prescribed every day. So back to the manager in New Zealand. She's wrong about everything, and you know what's really disturbing? It should be to all of us. She's in a position of authority in the New Zealand medical system, another way in which New Zealand is just like the United States. Medical systems all over the world are crumbling with flat-out incompetence and fraud. There are notorious exceptions, and I don't want to throw the entire baby out with the proverbial bathwater, but interaction with the medical system is fraught with risk and should be avoided whenever possible. So I'm going to make a couple recommendations. One is if you have not taken my research and writing course, it starts at the end of this month. It's an 8-month course that will teach you how to read and think like I do. And that means being very, very critical and being able to spot fraud, inconsequential findings, poor study design, et cetera, when you look at the medical literature. Second thing is, this is why we have to have an alternative healthcare system, is what I'm talking about right here. So back to what I said earlier, if you are in the healthcare business and you want to do something different, this is the time to write to me. I'm in a very aggressive, expansive mood, ready to help people in some very interesting ways with incentives. Last thing I'll mention is start a food over medicine club. We're offering some special gifts for the first 50 people who sign up to do this. We're going to have the first clubs open by the beginning of June. Again, it's an opportunity to be associated with us. We have a lot of resources. We have a great reputation. We have a lot of infrastructure to help people accomplish what they want to accomplish in the healthcare field. So if this is interesting to you, please send me an email, pampopper@msn.com. So remember this, clinic in Ohio, we want to start more of them. Write to me if you're a healthcare professional. Food over medicine clubs, free tours and $100 gift cards. Lots going on, lots of free stuff that you can take advantage of. So with that, this is all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news.